back, relax, and maybe get yourself a snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hi guys! So I am here today to do an exciting video. Today I'm going to be discussing some authors that I would like to read more by. So these are all authors I've previously read a series or a book by, and because I really enjoyed that series or that book, I now want to read more from them. So I'm just going to tell you guys the books. I'm going to put them all on the screen because although I own some of these already, I don't own them all, so it's easier just to put them all up as a picture. Let's get started. It's not really in any order, but I would like to try and get some of these read in 2017, preferably all of them, but I don't know if that's going to happen, so I don't want to promise that, but I would definitely like to read some of these in 2017. The first author that I would love to read some more books by is Jo Walton. I have read Among Others by her. I've also read The Just City. I much preferred Among Others than I did The Just City. Although I did think it was an interesting book, I felt like Among Others was just beautiful and wonderful and so charming and lovely, and I would like to read something more in that vein. So the next book of hers that I'm planning to pick up is Tooth and Claw, which I believe has dragons in it and sounds like Fantasy of Manners kind of book with dragons. I think I'm gonna love it, and I'm definitely hopeful that it turns out to be as good as Among Others. If you have any other recommendations of hers that you'd like to give me, I don't know if she has more books, but if she does, let me know and tell me what you recommend I read by her, or any of these authors in fact. The next author who I would like to read more by is Ken Liu. So far I've only read short fiction by Ken Liu, so I would really like to try out some of his longer fiction. He has a book series which starts off with The Grace of Kings, which I do already own. I met him at a signing and I got the book signed, and I just haven't got around to reading it yet because it's a fairly large fantasy book, but I'm really intrigued by it because I know that he describes it as silk punk instead of steampunk, which basically means it takes influence from sort of Chinese and Japanese and Asian culture rather than Western culture, and it's all about the silk trade and sort of bamboo and very influential products from China, which just sounds really, really cool. So I'm super intrigued, super excited to read it, and if it's anything like his short fiction, then I have no doubt I would love it. So hopefully that is the case. The next author on my list that I would love to read more by is Octavia Butler. I read Kindred by her earlier in 2016 and I really, really enjoyed it. It was definitely an eye-opening book for me, and it was super well written and super easy to get into. I've always heard her name kind of bandied about, and yet I just had never looked into her work, so I'm really glad that Kindred has made me look into it, because it turns out that she has many different books that I am excited by and would love to try out. The first of those, I think, is probably going to be the EARTHSEED series, which is only 2 books, although it was supposed to be 3. I saw a review of these books on Rachel's channel, which is Kalanadi, and she talked about it, and the way she spoke about the books and described what happens in them, I was like, wow, I think I need to read that. It sounds really relevant and really interesting, and I just think I'd love it. So I would like to pick up those. The first one of those is The Parable of the Sower, I believe, so hopefully I can get my hands on a copy of that somewhere because I don't own it yet, and pick it up and try it, and hopefully I like it. The next author I have on my list is an author I've read a couple of books by now. In fact, I've read 3 of her books. One is one that I really didn't like, and 2 of them I have really liked. So I would like to read some more of her work to sort of find out how I feel overall. That is N.K. Jemisin. I've read The 100,000 Kingdoms by her, which I was not a fan of, the 5th season, and The Obelisk Gate, which I really, really enjoyed both of. So at the moment she's like a really great author sometimes for me, and I'd like to see if maybe The 100,000 Kingdoms was just a one-off that I didn't like. So I would like to try The Killing Moon by her, but again, if you have other places to start or other recommendations, do let me know, because I think she's got a couple of different series and books out. I'm definitely up for reading more of her work though. The next author on my list is an author where I've read the complete series by him and really loved it, and then just not carried on, so I should really carry on with some of his other books, and that is Chris Wooding, who is the author of the Tales of the Ketty J series. He is also the author of another series which is called The Braided Path, and I have owned that book for quite some time and just not got around to reading it, so I really think it's about time that I do and check it out, and hopefully again I'll really like it. His other series is light and fun and feisty, so I get the impression that this might be in a similar vein, although I think the setting and characters will be very different. So I've heard good things from the few people who have mentioned this series before. It's not a very popular or well-known one, but I think it's going to be a good one, so looking forward to that. The next one on my list is J.B. Jones, who I really loved when I read one of her books, and I've never read anything else by her, so I really should continue with the series I started. But I also own another series by her, which is the Baker's Boy series, and that one is a series that I find probably a little bit more attractive because it's an actual finished series, whereas the series that I began was not finished, and it's still not finished, and there's no kind of update on whether it's going to be finished or what. Like, she's still working on it as far as we know. So I hope that she'll finish that series, but if she doesn't, then I do want to read the Baker Boy books, and hopefully I'll like them as a complete trilogy, so that is what I'm going to try from her. The next author is an author I discovered at the very end of 2015. I loved him. It's David Hare. He's the author of the Moontide Quartet, but that is his adult fantasy, and he has some other YA and I think children's book series, and I would like to try some of them. So the one that I'm most interested in is The PYRE and the Adversaries, which are the start of a YA series, and I think that this is going to be an ongoing series for a few books, so I'm excited about starting it, and I just recently got the first 2 books in the series, so I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a fun one, and his books are always so detailed but really easy reads as well. I think it's going to be good. The next author is another one who I'm sure is going to be fantastic. It's Ursula K. Le Guin, who we all know loads of people love. I would like to try some more of her science fiction rather than her fantasy. I've heard not so great things about her fantasy, much more great things about her science fiction, and I really enjoyed The Left Hand of Darkness from the HAINISH cycle, so I think I'm probably going to pick up a few other books from the HAINISH cycle and try some of them. I think they are all standalones, a few of them might tie together, so you can kind of dip and dive wherever you want, but I'm not really sure which one to go for next. Possibly the Dispossessed, I've heard, so if that's a good start point, then let me know. If you have other recommendations of where to go for Ursula K. Le Guin, please let me know that too, because I would love to get to some of her work in 2017 and kind of keep reading, because the ideas she came up with for The Left Hand of Darkness were really cool, and I loved the discussions she was having within that book, so yeah, would like to read more of hers. The next author I would love to read some more by is TWAN, who is a fantastic emotional writer. His stories are very evocative, very beautifully written, very calming and peaceful, even though they deal with quite harsh subject matter. So I'm quite looking forward to being in the right headspace to go into another one of his books, and I do have The Gift of Rain, which I think is going to be really good. I've heard great things from other people who like his stuff, and I think I'll probably enjoy this one just as much as I enjoyed the other one, which was The Garden of Evening Mists. And the final author I have on my list to read more by is SEANAN McGuire, who is the author of Every Heart a Doorway. Obviously I'll be carrying on with that series because the new one comes out in 2017, I think, but I also would like to try out her October Day series. I believe it's an urban fantasy, which I don't really read very much of, mainly because I find that I struggle getting back into sort of the paranormal urban settings. I much prefer a completely different world, but I definitely want to give it a go because I have heard great things about it from various friends, and I do like her other series, so hopefully that will translate. We'll see, you never know till you try, so I think I might as well start with the first book and give it a go. That is a quick list of all of the authors that I am really excited to read more from. I would love to hear if there's any authors that you are really excited to read more from down in the comments below, let me know. And if I am starting in the wrong place with series, or if you have a better recommendation for somewhere to go next with these authors, then also let me know that down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video very soon. Bye!
Thank you for watching my video today. Go pick up a book, then come back and chat with me again.